Good morning. Are we live? Good morning. How are you? Happy Monday. Okay, I think we are live in all the places. So, I am Kalua and I am imperfectly amazing, and I am feeling especially imperfectly amazing today with the topic for the day. Hey, Michelle, I love you. How are you? So nice to see you. So I am a little out of my comfort zone today with the topic. I'm talking about your relationship to source. And this is already a very charged topic. Okay. This is one of those things that, um, it's like politics, money, and religion. We don't talk about it, right? But it is where everything stems from. So it's really important. And I guess I'll go back, part of my resistance to talking about it is the fact that it has been a little bit of a journey for me. It not easy. Lots of judgment I've experienced, a lot of ridicule. And so I really had to overcome a lot in order to build my relationship with Source. And I think so for me personally, um, it just adds that much to it on top of the fact that I, sort of live here in the Bible Belt, and it's a really big deal here. And maybe my opinions are not always the same as everybody else's. But I do want to start by saying that whatever you believe about God, source, universe, higher power, whatever you're calling your higher power, whatever you believe is absolutely correct. It is absolutely correct because it is your relationship with source. No one else's, yours. And so I think that's so important to remember that, no two marriages look exactly the same. The way we have a relationship with one person is not the way we have a relationship with another person. All relationships are not uniform, they're not exactly the same. And so yours is perfect and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, just as it is, if it feels good for you. And so it's right. That's it. It's right for you. And so I was going to tell a little bit of my story. Um, the fact that, so I grew up in New York, very big Catholic area. I grew up from Catholic people. Uh, I'm going to say, the probably, what is it, the C and E Catholics, Christmas and Easter showing up to church. So wasn't like it wasn't like a massive thing where everybody was in church every Sunday, but it was definitely the mindset, like the programming of the family. And then add to that, my dad, who was always the rebellious one, was like and does not appreciate anything being shoved down his throat, and so he was very agnostic. So when I say that, again, not atheist, but agnostic, but he still had this really strong moral compass. And that was the big thing in my house, was learning, the moral code, right? The 10 commandments, all of that kind of stuff was a big deal. But again, because I lived in this area where, it was a big Catholic area. And so there were all the kids who went to CCD every week and, all of the different stuff that people do. And I wasn't doing. I was under ridicule many times. You're going to hell. You're doing this. You understand that you can't go to heaven, and all of this stuff, telling me about the damnation of my soul all the time. And for me, I remember just not accepting that, because it was interesting, because I always felt like God should be love which now I know to be true for me. But at the time, because I was being told, I had this tendency to have really good instincts for myself. But when people tell me I'm wrong, I'm like, oh, okay, you must be right. Right. So that was kind of my instinct. So even though I felt a certain way, I would think I was wrong for it. So this is some of the stuff that I've worked through in my older years. But so that was really sort of that upbringing. But my parents really wanted me to find my way with my spiritual path. They wanted me to explore. They wanted me to have the power of making my own decision, which was amazing and it was wonderful, but it was also, like I said, difficult because I often had ridicule. So I remember being in high school, and we had actually a really good social studies program in high school where it was global studies. And, we just like over 2 years, freshman and sophomore year, you would study like the entire world. And part of that was the religions. And I always found myself so completely fascinated by the religion aspect. And I guess also the aspect of the fighting over the religion. And for me, as I looked at it, to me it all looked very similar. It all looked like it came from the same place. We you know as a species, we're all humans, right? We're all human beings. Now, not one of us, well, maybe twins, or, actually, even twins don't look exactly alike. We don't have the same fingerprints. We have different skin colors, different body builds, right? There's no two of us that look exactly identical. And I kind of felt like the same thing happens with religion. Like there's just all these, body types and skin tones and, but they all seem to stem from the same place. And it kind of struck me as interesting that people would fight about it. Why are we fighting when it should be love, right? So back to the love. And then in my early adulthood, right, in my 20s, I moved to the South because, I went away to school up north and it was freaking cold. So I moved to Florida. And so now I moved out of like predominantly, Catholicism and Judaism down to Christianity, right? The Baptist and just, I don't even know, lots and lots of different strong Christian religions. And what I met there was a lot of weekday preachers. Okay. So not actual, preachers for the church, just a lot of preaching. People who went to church on Sunday, spent the entire week preaching, but then didn't walk the talk. And so now that moral code that I had been drilled into me all the time growing up was like triggered. I was, what's happening? Wait a second. What do you mean telling me how to live my life and that I should be doing this and I should be doing that? And, again, more of the judgment. Why aren't you at church today? You need to do this, you need to do that, or you're going to hell. And then those very same people would do really not such good moral things. And I was dumbfounded. And I found myself moving away from faith. I found myself being so discouraged and honestly so disgusted that I pushed back like from God. And I don't know, it was interesting. And I honestly cannot tell you what it was that sort of brought me back around. But I did start to come back to, I think, as I got more into meditation and right, I think that was sort of what started getting me back into that place of peace and oneness and being in alignment with God, but I still felt wrong. I still felt like my way was wrong. And then eventually I went and somebody did sort of an energy reading for me. And they told me, religion came up and they told me, you just haven't found yours yet. You haven't found your thing yet, but it's there. Like it hasn't even been created yet. You know what I mean? Like, but you have this relationship, you have this love for God. And um, I think it was at that point where it was like, oh, I have permission to just be, to just be present in my relationship, how it is. It doesn't need a definition. It doesn't need to look a certain way. It doesn't need to be a certain way. It can just be. And it was then that I sort of had this freedom and this empowerment to really develop that relationship and to find comfort in it. And that's what I did. And now it's really the source of everything for me. I mean, just from this discussion today, because I tell you what, I would not have chosen this on my own. Trust me, this is very uncomfortable for me. But this was a nudge that I got from my, higher source, from my intuition, which, you know, I often talk about, right? So the front of your body is the part that faces the world. We lean into the world. This is our how we present. This is how we face the world. But when we lean back and we get those downloads through the back of our body, that's our connection. That's our direct connection to the higher power, to divine, right? Divine source, love, God, whatever you're calling it, universe, right? That is how we connect directly. And I think that was a big part of it for me, was that direct connection and not somebody telling me what God wanted me to know, what I wanted, I think, more of that, you know, uh, not like playing a game of telephone where it went through a few people before it got to me. I wanted that more direct. And so that when you lean in and something feels right in your body, when it feels expansive, that's how you know you're in alignment. That's how you know you're receiving directly. But when it doesn't feel right, when it feels constrictive and when it feels wrong, then something's out of alignment. And that doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make you bad. It just means let's breathe. Let's breathe. Let's get back into alignment. What's out of alignment, right? And get back into that connection. So I hope that this is making sense and that I'm not rambling too much, but it was really sort of just my personal story about, I guess, always being made to feel wrong about something that's really big, you know, and how just because everybody is saying it has to be a certain way, that doesn't mean it does. It doesn't mean that's what's right for you. And that can be speaking to you when it comes to your relationship with source. It could be about your relationship with others. It could be about politics. It could be about, you know, money. It could be about work, career. It could be anything. If it doesn't feel right to you, then it's not. Then it's not. And that's it. And so now we reconnect and find out what is right. And that's where I get into my relationship with source. So if something doesn't feel right, that's where I go. I plug back in, like, okay, help me out here. What's going on? What do I need to know? And that's, I think, probably where this whole thing was going. So thank you for being here with me today. I would love to hear if this spoke to you, what this meant, because again, like I said, this was from plugging into source that I even spoke on this, because this is not something I'm usually very willing to talk about. Like I said, it's personal, your relationship with source. It's very good morning, Dot. Love that. When things feel off, focus. When things feel off, focus on source. Yes. Yeah. And that's it. A lot of times we feel wrong for things we're told. Oh, it's wrong for that. It's wrong for but then we feel wrong inside our bodies for depriving ourselves that, and it's because it's what source wants for you. It's what is in actual alignment for you. Nobody else can know what's right for you except source. So, yeah, this was, like I said, this is kind of a heavy topic for me, and it was really a big, you know, coming to a big journey for me, and to find that, and to love that, and honestly to love everyone else for where they are in that relationship, because I've been through so many phases and stages along the way that I feel like I've pretty much covered it all. So, when I see the person preaching at me, telling me how I should live my life, or I just thank you. I know that they're doing it from love now. I'm not triggered. I know that, they're just at a different phase. Mm, what is that saying? Downloads are like that. It's going to serve you and serve us to check ours. Yeah. Yeah, and that's been one of my lessons is trusting those downloads. Now I speak them more. Now I used to just keep them to myself. Like because I didn't know how people would react, and I didn't know people would judge me, right? More of that judgment stuff. And as I have been working through my issues of being seen, right? I've been voicing my intuition as it comes out more. And mainly there was something that happened um, with someone I know, and I had kind of, as soon as this person started going down this path, I had a download to say something, and I didn't. I didn't do it. I doubted myself. I was like, yeah, but this person's got it together. And this is probably just my fear. This is just my fear talking. But I felt ooky, and I kept feeling ooky, and I didn't say anything. And damn it. And I told the person later, because it honestly ended up being months of difficulty for this person and me, and quite a few others, because I didn't speak up. And I felt like I had done such a disservice to that person. And I told them about it. I'm so sorry. I had this download, and I thought it was just me and my fears, and I think I should have said something. And of course they forgave me, which made me feel much better. But they had totally understood, and they said, it's on me too, but yes, from now on, you speak up, please. When you have these, you tell me. And it was after that I said, you know what? I don't care what people think of me. At least I'll know that I honored them in doing it. I honored them, and in doing so, honored myself and source, of course. So now I'm speaking to these downloads. I'm speaking to when I get, because again, that intuition is just divine guidance. That's all it is, divine guidance. So that's why, you can't make it bad. You can't make it evil. You can't make it witchcraft. It's source. It's God, So that's where I am today. I hope that this was so helpful for you. I am sending you so much love on this beautiful holiday week. We are celebrating the winter solstice, which is a wonderful time for reflection and just moving into your creativity, your power. Christmas is coming. Oh my goodness. It is an amazing week. I want to remind you to stay connected. Don't get all crazy about all the Christmas stuff and the holiday stuff. This is your holiday too. Enjoy it. Be in that place of love. Remember, it's all about love. That's it. It's all about love. So, Dot says, "Oh, what a beautiful illustration of Source needing to be our downloader, and we need to connect to higher than us." Yeah, yeah. And it's just like I said, I think that's why I've been saying Source more than I used to. I used to say God more, and now I've been saying Source more because I'm finding it's just the source of everything in my life. It's just everything, everything I do, every thought, the more I connect back into that, it just it changes things. It really just oof. So, okay, I am really going to go this time because I think I could probably go on and on all day. Keep those comments coming if you're, watching after the fact. I hope that person evaluated their focus and where they are actually, and so that's it. That's also why I didn't. So she's saying, I hope that person evaluated their focus and where they received guidance or inspiration to go that direction. This person is actually very, very spiritually devoted. It was just sort of this, like, got excited about an idea and went off course basically. And yeah, and I that was part of why I doubted myself, because this person is so connected. But we all get out of connection, and that's okay. It's part of the journey. That's part of it. So yeah, I mean, that's we all can't we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, and so that's it. We're here to experience those imperfections. That's part of it. That's why we're imperfectly amazing. That's what we're supposed to be doing, is being imperfect and growing. Because I just recently watched a podcast with a shaman who I had the great experience of meeting and getting some wonderful energy healing from in Sedona. But she talked about, when the universe, they say, we're giving you a gift. And that basically means your challenge, because if everything's easy peasy all the time, you're not growing, you're not learning, you're not moving up into that higher version of yourself. So the universe gives those gifts to you. And I think that was probably one of his gifts. So all right, my loves, thank you so much for being here today. I will be here Wednesday with some clarity and pulling an oracle card for our divine guidance for the rest of the week. Have an amazing winter solstice tomorrow. And remember, this energy of winter solstice actually begins today and it goes all the way through the 31st. So this is an amazing time. Just lean back. Breathe into your belly. Let that belly expand as you breathe, like 3 breaths, get present, and just connect. Now, here's the thing. You don't just lean back and all of a sudden, like, all the wisdom of the universe pours into you at once, right? It's not like a plug, but the more that you connect and you become present and you do this, just breathe, get your to-do list out of your head, get your calendar out of your head, just be present for a few moments. The more the downloads will come to you as you're in the course of the day, as you're doing the things. Now, sometimes they come to you right there in that moment, but it's not always. It's not, so don't be looking for immediate gratification. It's just the more connected and the more in touch you get, the more it comes. It just starts to roll in, and you get this thought, and it's like, well, wait a second. Well, that's brilliant. I don't think that was mine, And so, it's just that wisdom coming to you, and you just become more receptive and more open to it. Dot saying, sometimes the vibe or idea comes from elsewhere and we are not as aware of source. We just go with it and then get farther out of the position with source. Yeah, yeah. And that's why I say that connecting back in and just feeling like, that lean back, and you sort of visualize, like, choice A and choice B, and which one feels expansive and which one feels constrictive. And then okay, so I mean it this time. I'm going, I love you so much. I will be back Wednesday for that divine guidance clarity with Kahlua, where I pull a card for our guidance. Oh, yes, I was saying that this time of the solstice, powerful, powerful time to release anything, right? So, as we connect, sometimes we see things about ourselves that aren't working, maybe we don't like. Just forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. God, source, God, universe, they forgive you. So you forgive you too. And the more you do that, the more you're in that connection too. And so, releasing all of what's not working for you, release it, let it go. You've learned, it's wonderful. Now we're moving forward and nourishing what we do want to grow. So I wish you so much love. Have an amazing week. Mwah. Thank you, my loves.